Welcome to day one of menstruation. In this video, I want to share with you some of the ways that I use cycle syncing to organize my daily life as well as my creative routine. This is the menstrual phase. This is a time of rest, recovery, renewal, and self-reflection as I enter into a new phase of my body and my being. This is a time when I take the pressure off and allow myself to just take care of my body. This means that if I don't feel like painting, I don't. If I feel like laying around in my robe all day, gosh darn it, I'm going to allow myself that. Of course, there are responsibilities that can't be ignored, like work and school assignments. But when the necessities are taken care of, we are relaxing into ease. Our female bodies are doing a lot at this time. We are literally shedding an organ and renewing that organ. I found that a few days of rest during the first few days of my cycle gives me a whole lot of energy for the next phases of my cycle. And alongside that, if I don't take that rest, then I've noticed that the next phases of my cycle, being the follicular phase and the ovulatory phase, they don't go quite as smoothly. So be really careful not to define yourself by the level of energy that you have here. If you don't feel motivated to work towards your dreams, that's normal. Let the dream go for a few days. Make yourself a nourishing snack and a warm cup of tea. Grab your favorite chocolate, a cozy blanket, and be proud of your body for all that it's doing for you during this time. If you feel like getting creative, that's great, go for it, but no pressure. Pressure is the last thing that we need during this phase of our cycle. Personally, if I do choose to work on something creative during the menstrual phase, I try to choose something low stakes. Maybe an abstract sketch, an experimental sculpture, or an easy embroidery project. Something that encourages a very gentle mindset. The remainder of this video is going to focus on my creative process because aside from working as a behavioral therapist and being a full-time student in an ABA master's program, I don't have time for much else. Most of the time that I'm not at the canvas, I'm just on my computer. This is the follicular phase. To me, it feels like spring. If I took really great care of myself during those first few days of my menstrual phase, then I'm typically full of energy and really excited to jump into projects. This is a really great time to lay the foundation for a new painting to get those first few brushstrokes in. It's a really exciting and enlivening time that's just full of new energy and new possibilities. I truthfully don't have much else to say about this phase of the cycle. It's just a time when things feel easy, easy breezy, beautiful squeezy. Life is flowing, energy is rising. And so I hope you guys just enjoy watching the painting process as I'm flowing through this energy until we get to the next phase of the cycle. This is the ovulatory phase. Now, most people say that our ovulatory phase is much shorter, just a few days. And while it's true that we only actually ovulate for a very short period, the actual fertile window is typically about 6 days for me. So, to make the weeks nice and even, I'm calling it 7 days. And energetically speaking, this is a time when I'm feeling this vibrant vitality, this feeling of aliveness in my body. This is such a potent time for creativity because our bodies are literally preparing for the most epic creation of all time, another human being. However, we don't have to be making babies to make use of this creative energy. This is a great time for tackling the more challenging aspects of a project. For me and this painting, that meant tackling the hole in the ground. Side note, sometimes I'm so surprised by what challenges me in a painting. I wouldn't have thought that a hole in the dirt would have been difficult to paint, but when you really start looking at the subtle curvature and the detail in the soil, my God, the detail in a handful of dirt is insane. There are so many different colors and shadows and textures. And then you put a hole in that very detailed textured thing, and you have to figure out the way that light hits it, the shadows on the object that's going into the hole, etc., etc., etc. Long story short, it was a lot more complicated than I um, had imagined it would be. So, anyways, this part of the cycle, this ovulatory phase, is great for those big pushes, those challenging aspects. This is typically when our confidence is at its peak, we're tenacious, and we're capable of anything. We have the energy to create big things during this phase of our cycle. So, absolutely go for it. Do the big collaborations, do the social media posting, record your videos if you're recording videos at this time. Do the big pushes with the projects, get through those more challenging aspects. This is the time that you want to plan for that because this is the time when you are going to be most energetically ready and excited to tackle those challenges. This is the luteal phase. It's all downhill from here, so to speak. But the luteal phase gets a bad rap. It's the time when estrogen plummets, often dramatically. It can feel a bit jarring if you're not tracking your cycle. This might be a time where you start to wonder what's wrong with you. You were feeling so good, so on top of the world, and then all of a sudden you're irritable, maybe a little less confident, a little less social, and that's all completely normal. And if we're prepared for that, then it's a lot less scary and a lot less annoying. This is a great time for putting the finishing touches on a project, reflecting on your work, and prepping for the next project. This can be a really fruitful time if we understand what's happening in our bodies and how to best utilize that energy. Because while estrogen drops during those first few days of the luteal phase, we also have progesterone, which rises. And progesterone is sometimes called the happy relax hormone. In order for us to actually feel happy and relaxed during this luteal phase, though, it's critical that our cortisol levels remain low. If cortisol spikes, it can block progesterone, which is the only thing keeping us going at this point. So, yes, do the creative work. Start to take the pressure off a little bit. Don't tackle the huge projects during this time, but wrap up projects, start planning. Girlies, please be easy on yourself. This world was not designed around your cyclical nature, but we can make a difference in our own lives by understanding our cycles. Knowledge is power. If you're not already tracking your cycle, I highly encourage it. It has made such a massive difference in my life. I promise you're not crazy, you're just woman.
You're good.
Okay, bye. I love you. I'll see you in the next video.